So it's an expired through Vulcan that I was chasing for 2 years. And the person, when I spoke with him, he was like, when my house is worth 850, you give me a call. I don't want to talk. He's like, realtors were, I had it on the market. I was getting 750. So I just, did comps and I was like, oh, his home is now actually worth 850. And so I called him and I just reached out to him and said, this is what your home is worth. Your neighbor's home sold for this much and it's in a community. So let's have a conversation about that. And he was like, okay, that's great. And I followed up with him. I had an appointment with him last Sunday, but and he was so welcoming, had me inside. He was really excited. He was very great. But then I went into motivation and he's looking, he and his girlfriend are looking to move to Florida. I found an agent there. They're not sure if they want to list now because he's like, I still have my son and, graduating and it might be too soon. But I got, at least, he's comfortable. He's responding to my texts. He's like, if I don't sell it, I might just rent it out. But I helped him find a partner in Florida. So I was just really excited about that.
That's awesome,
It's
Monty.
not a listing. It's not a listing yet, but it's a lead. And I'm just grateful that I kept pursuing. And it took 2 years, but at least I got an appointment.
Listen, sometimes it takes longer than 2 years. And here's the thing, you're doing your job every day. And the biggest part of what we do, Monty, and I hope you guys understand that a majority of our listing opportunities, probably 90%, maybe even higher than that, don't come on the first call. It comes with the follow-up. And so follow-up is key. And sometimes follow-up takes a week. Sometimes it takes 2 years. You just don't know. You just have to continue to make the calls and show your value. So I hope that you guys will continue to do that. Really quickly, one of the reasons we're on here is so that we can get better on the phone and we can get out there and lead generate and actually find some opportunities. I heard Pete say something at his event, and he kind of said it under his breath, and I believe it so much. Pete, I don't know if you remember this. He said, we lead generate so we don't have to what, guys? Tolerate. We lead gen. So I need everybody to unmute with me right now, because here's what I want you guys to understand, and I want you to say this to yourself when you get on the phone. We lead generate so we don't have to tolerate those people who want to overprice, that don't want to pay our commission, that don't want to be coachable and listen to us. We can move on and go find someone else. We lead generate so we don't have to tolerate those people. And if you have enough people in your pipeline, it's easy to say, no, thank you. I'd rather turn you down than let you down. When you don't lead generate, you end up taking these listings that you shouldn't take because that's all you have. I don't want you to be in that situation. So if you guys would all participate with me, I'd love for you to unmute. And on the count of three, I want you to say, I lead generate so I don't have to tolerate. If you guys can do that for me. And while you do that, I'm going to record you guys saying that, because I like to create content. We got to document, not create, right? We always have to be creating content. So on the count of three, I want you guys to say, and hold on for a second. I got too many people muted. Unmute. All you people with your cameras on, I don't need to see you. I want to hear you. Unmute, Cito. Unmute, Carla. Unmute. There we go. Julia, unmute. LaRonda, Diego. All right, there we go. Count of three. I lead generate so I don't have to tolerate. All right? Wait, on the count of three. Count of three. I know I'm dealing with some real estate agents. I know we don't pay attention to directions, but count of three now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I
tolerate.
That was rough.
That was rough. All right, so let's get into it. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I hope that and trust that you guys are getting value. And if you are, I really want to push and encourage all of you to invite at least one person every week when we do this. We have people who really participate at a high level here. You got Scott, you got Pete, you got Raj, David, Manny, a lot of people who are participating. I'm going to be calling on people because you're here because you know that you need to get out of your comfort zone. And here's what I want you to know. It's okay if you don't have the right answer. I want you to attempt to overcome the objection. If you can't, phone a friend, pick somebody, say, I need some help. Somebody else will jump in and help you out. I want you to at least talk through this whole process. And so the objection that I want to overcome today is I have a friend or relative in the business. Anybody get that? Right? You guys get that a lot. Here's what I want you to understand about that objection. If they really had a friend in the business and someone who could help them, wouldn't they be listed already? with that friend and relative. So I need you to understand
You
that.
would think.
You would think, right? And so a lot of times, like there are 3 times in the conversation where this comes up. Right in the beginning when you call them, hey, I got a friend in the business, I'm good. That's what we call the brush off. They're just brushing you off. They're attempting to outscript you to see if you will go down that rabbit hole. Ignore it. Oh, I'm glad you have someone that you can count on in real estate that can help you out. Let me ask you, when you sell the house, where are you moving to? Like, just ignore that in the beginning when you're on the phone. However, when it comes back up at the end, when you're going to close and you're like, listen, I have somebody that I know, I have a relative or a friend, you have to be able to handle that objection. So I want people to throw their hands up. Whoever wants to be, who wants to role play this out, I want you to throw your hands up, and I need some participation here. I got Barclay up, my man. Barclay, I'm going to put the timer up. Give me guys, Pete and Manny and David. Is 90 seconds enough time for people, or should we give them more time? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I think 120.
Wow.
I should be
120.
generous.
No, like 120 seconds.
Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, gotcha. All right, Pete, what do you think?
What is this in person or is that
No, right here
table
on the
or
phone. I want to give you guys here on this call like either 90 seconds or 2 minutes. Pete, what do you think?
Is the goal to overcome the objection and close for an appointment, or just overcome the objection?
I say right now, let's just overcome the objection so we can get through more.
Then I would think 90 seconds would probably be all right.
I think I agree with you. All right. So, Barclay, I want to say, man, I appreciate you raising your hand. I got you, I got Scott, and I have Mr. Raj on here. So Barclay, listen, I appreciate you calling. We actually have someone that we know who's a real estate agent, so we're good.
Okay, I understand that completely. And after you sell this house, what do you plan on going to next?
I'm actually going down to Florida.
Moving down to Florida? Okay. And what's bringing you to Florida?
All right. So really quickly, I want to pause you here. I know where you're going, and I love that you go here, and this is what we should be doing, but I just want you to overcome objections. I don't want you to go into motivation. I just want you to overcome the objection of, I have a friend or relative in the business. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And just for the conversation, so all of you guys know, for every situation, I'm moving to Florida because I'm retiring. I want to be close to my grandkids, right? And I love to fish, and I love to yacht. So that's why I'm going down there. So you guys all know my motivation. What I want you to do now is just overcome that objection. I'm gonna start the clock over again. Barclay, listen, I appreciate the call, but I have a friend in real estate, so I'm good.
Okay. So besides the friend that you have that's in real estate, is there anything else that's stopping this from meeting?
No, man, I have them. I have that relationship, and I've already told them that I would give them an opportunity.
Okay. So why are we on the phone right now if you promised some opportunity?
That was good. You guys hear what he did there? I just want to, they gave me a price. I want to just see how their prices match up to what you may think my house is worth.
Okay. So what's more important to you, the friend that you have in the business, or how much you're gonna net?
I mean, both really, but ultimately what I net on the house is the most important.
Okay, perfect. So why don't we sit down and we can meet for 15 minutes? And if you don't like what I have to say, then you could definitely, probably partner up with your friend. If not, me and you could probably work together. I have today at 3 and tomorrow at 5 available. Which one works best?
Perfect. So he closed, he went after it. What did you guys think about what Barclay did? Anybody? You can just unmute.
Excellent.
And it was excellent because he was doing what?
He's just attacking it. He's handling the objective. He's isolating it. He's moving to the side. He's going right after what you're doing, and he's trying to get to the answer.
He was asking questions.
That's it. Asking questions, right, Barbie? He's asking questions. We got to get into question mode. Barclay is really good at that. He's really great at asking questions. So let me go to Scott. And Scott, I want to give you the same objection right now, and I'm going to choose you, Raj, and Lou to overcome this objection, because here's what I know. Every objection that we get, we have to have 4 or 5 different ways to overcome the same objection. Because if the person keeps pushing back with the same objection, we can't keep saying the same shit over and over again. We got to have something different to say. I hope you guys understand that. So what you're going to do here is you're going to hear 4 or 5 different ways to overcome that same objection. You write that down, you put that in your script book, and now when you're on the phone and someone says that to you, you have 3, 4, or 5 different ways to overcome that objection as well. Scott, man, I appreciate you calling, but my sister is a realtor, so we're good. We don't need any help.
David, totally understand that. Let me ask you a question. How soon do you want to make this move?
I want to make this move immediately. We should have been gone about 6 months ago.
And why wasn't it listed 6 months ago?
It was. We were for sale by owner.
Ah, I see. And your sister was helping you out with that.
She gave us some advice.
But it didn't work, did it?
Well, we got some offers, but they were pretty low, and we didn't want to accept those offers. We didn't even counter back. They were just so low.
I was wondering if your sister did list it with you and another 6 months went by and it didn't sell, would that cause any kind of rift in your relationship?
I mean, listen, yeah, I don't think things would be that great if she didn't sell it in 6 months. That's a long time for it to be on the market and not sell. So yeah, that would definitely cause some issues.
Yeah, kind of hard to fire your sister and face her across the table Thanksgiving, right?
Listen, I wouldn't have a hard time with it, but I think my mom would kill me if I did that.
Yeah, David, that's exactly why we got to get together. You don't have to list with me, but you're going to get a different perspective. You're going to get my expertise, and I'm an expert in this market. It'll take 15, 20 minutes. What do you say, tomorrow at 2 o'clock or today at 4?
Scott, I hear you on that. Here's my, I'm going to say yes because our timer is coming down. I was going to give you some more pushback, but I want to keep it within the timer. So that's a different approach where Scott went with it, right? He's kind of planting some seeds of doubt about using the sister. Let's hear where Raj takes it. Raj, man, listen, my mother-in-law is a real estate agent, so we're good. If we decide to list, we're going to end up listing with her.
Okay, that totally, I completely understand that. So David, has there ever been a time where you lent a family member or a friend a few bucks or some money and it never came back to you?
Oh my, more than once, man.
Yeah, well, this is just like that time. So, you know, so let's say, for example, something was to go wrong, and I understand you want to use your mother-in-law for listing for the transaction. Heaven forbid something goes wrong in transaction, would you be comfortable, you know, complaining against her, possibly to extreme? I mean, I've seen lawsuits filed against agents, as you see in the news all the time. Would you be comfortable doing that?
No, man, no.
Okay,
No,
and yeah,
not at all.
see, and I completely understand the reason you want to use her is because you want her to make more money. So here's what we can do. We can actually help her make a lot more money. She just has to focus on working on buyers and sellers. I'll sign a referral agreement with her where I will take on all the marketing costs and everything. She gets paid at the end, but she's already working. So she's working with buyers, she's working with sellers, she's getting paid from this transaction. And you and I, and then there's no uncomfortable, if anything goes wrong, you and I can deal with it. Does that make sense?
That actually does make sense. I need to hear a little bit more about that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and that way your mother-in-law can actually increase her income. So what time works for you for me to come over today at 3 or 5 o'clock work better?
All right, Rod, you beat the deadline. Good for you, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. I like that. Hope you guys are writing this down. Now we coming to the man, Mr. Lou.
Mr. David, let's do it.
Hey, Lou, listen, my nephew just got his real estate license, and so I got to give him his first opportunity. I appreciate it, but I already have someone.
So I can understand that. There's been a lot of people that have gotten in the real estate industry lately, and maybe we can get an introduction to your nephew down the road, and I could talk to him about the benefits of working at Keller Williams. But for our conversation, David, how open-minded are you?
I tend to think I'm open-minded.
So that's great. I'd like to take the conversation in a little bit of an extreme direction and just say to you, if you found out that you had an illness or that you needed to seek medical expertise, would you want to go to your nephew, or would you want to go to a family member, or would you be open-minded to want to do your due diligence and open up your mind and find out who's the exact person that has the expertise to help you to overcome what that illness is?
I mean, for me at that point in time, it's about finding the right expert.
Yeah, so I'd like to compare this to financial surgery, right? Your goal and objective is to do what's right for your family and take you down a path of finding the most experienced and real estate agent that has the right expertise for your financial surgery. So I'd like you to be open-minded and have that conversation with me and my partner. And if it comes down that it's a match, it's got to be a match for us because we don't take every listing opportunity that comes to us. And it's got to be a match for you. So we'd like to sit down with you tomorrow at 4 o'clock and have that conversation and see if it is a match for you.
I'm open to that. Lou,
5 seconds to spare.
I know. So here's what I love. Did you guys hear what Lou said? Or do you consider yourself to be open-minded? Like, that is such a good way to use that, because everyone wants to believe that they're open-minded. So of course I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to be open to hear what you have to say. I love your takeaway close too, because you're saying, I don't take every listing. I may not even be interested in listing your property. We need to sit down and talk. When people hear you not having that commission breath and you're like, I may not even want your listing, their ears perk up and they want to talk to you even more. So I like the way you delivered that. That was really good, Lou. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't forget, we're bringing your nephew to KW too.
Well, so let me
That
say
was
that.
my
So
favorite.
how can we handle that? Because there's something I would have said if there was a relative that just got their license. What else could we say to a seller that has a relative that's newly licensed that they want to help and support? What could we say to get that person to actually give us an opportunity? Anybody want to go? Barclay?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could partner with that agent. Like,
yeah?
just chat and do this deal.
That's right. That's right. Al, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? I would say something like, if you were a doctor, could you operate on your own wife, family member? Would you be allowed to do that? And then,
No.
of course, the answer is no. And then, well, why is that? And then you can go into, there's, conflict of interest, too emotionally invested in the process if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I like all of that. And I think that's all great. But here's the thing. Here's what I said. It's my nephew. I feel like I need to give him his first opportunity. What I'm looking to do is make sure the kid gets paid, right? I want to look out for family. How can we handle that and still make it a win-win for everybody involved?
Could you make him a co-listing agent?
Right. You can offer, co-listing agent, or you can offer a referral fee.
Referral fee.
Yep. And
Referral.
David, yep.
Referral.
How would you serve that up, David?
I would say, I bet your nephew's a bit like me. When I first started, I was lost. I had no idea what I was doing in real estate. But the good news is we can help your nephew out, because this can be a training exercise for him. And we don't want him practicing on your property, do we?
No, I really don't.
Okay. But what's good about that is we offer a lot of training at Keller Williams, and actually there's nothing like a hands-on training. And what we can do is we can actually have him bring buyers. And I can also offer him a referral fee for, referring this transaction over to me. How does that sound?
That sounds interesting. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, we should get together to talk about that. How does today at 3 or tomorrow at 6 work for you?
Let's do 3. Couple of things, man.
Okay.
So I love that you brought up the referral fee. There's a word that you used 3 times when you were overcoming this that you shouldn't use. Do you know what it was? Anybody else know what word you used 3 times?
Didn't he say but?
Yep. You said but. But the good news is, so what I want you guys to work on is, and the good news is, because when you say but, it negates everything you said beforehand. So, and the good news is, so we replace but with and. We replace try with intend. Matt, go ahead.
I just had I took notes just for Raj and Scott and Lou. Lou, I have nothing for you. Well practiced. Good job, sir. Raj,
Thanks,
Scott, I had a good question that you asked that you were dancing around that David gave your responses. What made you sell the home yourself if you knew your sister could sell it for you? Right. So like you could just dive right into that. And then Raj, you could be more direct with your question. It was a great objection, but just you were dancing around your words a little bit, but that was super clean, bro.
Yeah, I felt that a little bit too. And Raj, if you're not picking up on what Matt said, I think everybody should go back and review this video when I send it out to you on Wednesday, and you'll pick up on things like that. So here's what I want to do right now that I think would be very helpful. This whole thing about hiring a friend or a relative, we are hearing some objection handlers, but in addition to having the objection handlers, we should also have a list of questions around every objection that comes up so that we have questions written down to ask the seller. So I'm going to start off with the first question. I want 3 or 4 people to give me other questions we can ask the seller around this objection. I have a friend or a relative in the business. The first question is, if this person wasn't a friend or a relative, are they an agent you would hire? That's a great question, right? Are you hiring them just because of the relationship, or are you hiring them because they're the right agent for the job? And if you get them to say, well, it's my family, like I gotta look out for them, then we know we can handle that objection by offering to pay a referral fee. And if you listen to David, he said a referral fee. He didn't say 25%. He said a referral fee. That can be negotiated what that amount is, but you're at least offering up an opportunity to make sure that person is made whole. What's another question that we could be asking around? I have a friend. Go ahead, Gerald. What's up?
Are you committed to that friend? How committed are you to that friend?
Yep. How committed? What else?
What's your experience into doing business with family members?
Yeah. What's your experience been doing business with family members? Great one. And Diego, I think everybody has had some negative experiences hiring friends and hiring family. So when you bring that question up, they definitely are thinking of something, right?
Absolutely. I just went through one.
Uh-oh. So you know firsthand. All right. That's what's up, Diego. Ariane, and then Barclay, and then Lou.
So how are you going to benefit by using your family member to work your transaction?
How am I going to benefit? Like, what's in it for me? I mean, just Thanksgiving dinner is going to be great. They won't be looking and staring daggers at me because I didn't hire them. So that's it for me. But no, I hear you. Good question, Ariane. Barclay, how about you?
You could probably throw a rock and hit a real estate agent, correct?
Sure. Yeah. Like, great. Like, listen, we all know a real estate agent. You could throw a rock and hit 100, right? Maybe less now because a lot of people are jumping out the business, but I hear you on that. Lou.
I would ask if you were building a criteria or a profile of an agent that fits or meets your needs to sell your home, does your family member meet that other than being a relative?
There we go. Nice one. I hope you guys are writing these down. And if you're not, you can write them down when I send you the recording. Good, Lou, Al, then Pete, and then Diego. Then we're going to move on to another one. Go ahead, Al.
I don't know if someone already asked this, but I'd be like, why aren't you listing with them to begin with? Why aren't you listing with them already? What are you waiting for?
Yeah. So what's keeping you from actually listing the house with them? Great question.
Yeah. And then
it's a direct question.
Then,
it's good.
Because usually they say, well, we're going to try on our own. And then, if it doesn't work out, I'll go ahead and list with them. And then I would be like, well, if they really were your true friend and cared about you, they would advise you against listing on your own. Something to that effect.
Yeah, I would maybe ask, because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable with the conversation. I would say, what did they say about you trying to sell on your own first? And then if it doesn't sell, coming back to them, what was their, the feedback around that? And if they say, oh, it's okay, they're around, I would explain why that's not in their best interest, because, the longer the house sits on the market and doesn't sell, it's got this negative connotation. People are wondering what's going on with the house. How come it's not selling? Then you start reducing the price, and then people are really wondering what's going on with the home. So it's a conversation that we can have around that, but I would ask it a different way. But good one, Al. Really good. Pete, what's up, man?
What's up? So I would just ask her, is your whatever, let's say nephew, is your nephew local?
Yeah, actually, he lives in the same town.
I mean, I would just go off that.
But it's a great question, because a lot of people have relatives and they say that. Again, you guys are here on this call learning scripts. You have to understand the sellers are at home and they're learning scripts too. So it's a matter of who's going to outscript who. A lot of times they say, I have a relative, just to get you off the phone, because they know that a majority of you, when you hear that, you're going to be like, well, there's no way they'll ever list their house with me. They got a relative. So, let me just move on. So don't get outscripted. Brush that off. Right. And kind of like Lou was saying, like, where are you moving to? Just go right into your script. Don't really get caught up in that in the beginning, because it could just be a brush off. Diego, you got the last word on this.
If I could make this a win-win for everyone, then would you be open-minded into listing with me?
Love it. Love it. If I can make it a win-win. And I think Matt put in the chat, like, win-win or no deal. There's a way that we can make this a win-win. And so here's a part where we wrote down objections. We wrote down questions. Another thing that can make us very successful converting people is if we have stories. Diego just said he went through a situation with a family member. Does anyone have a story around this type of situation that they could share that would take a minute or two? A story about hiring a friend or a relative and it didn't go well. Any stories? Matt, I'm gonna give it to you and then I'm going to Diego. Go ahead, Matt.
The worst transaction I had ever taken part in was for my own sister. And they did everything and anything under the sun to should have, would have, and could have killed the transaction. But the the man upstairs prevented that from happening. So everything worked out. But through that, it allowed me to have more uncomfortable conversations with other people because I have to deal with my sister and my brother-in-law and my nieces and my nephews.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do my best, and they're contacting sellers on their own and doing everything under the sun. And I'm just trying to, you know, troop through. And then I have a listing that I'm signing tomorrow where the person's sister is a real estate agent and actually pretty big. And I'm like, why did you use your sister? And he's like, well, you know, I don't know. And I'm like, so let's just do it. And then we sell the house and you're not complaining anymore. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll think about it. And a couple of days later, he calls me back. He goes, when are you going to sell my house? I go, as soon as you sign paperwork. I'm ready to do it. All right, come up tomorrow. Okay, no problem.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Love that, Matt. Diego, what about your situation?
Yeah, so does anybody have a brother and a sister and you're a calm person, but the only one in the world that can piss you off is that brother or sister?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same. My brother is a very calm person, and he swears that the only person in the world that knows how to piss him off is me. And it's because I am very direct with the things that I say. And oftentimes when you hear it from somebody that you love and that you've known for your entire life to piss you off, it's just going to piss you off.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you on that. Gerald, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I had my cousin beg me to sell his house, and then he ghosted me for about 6 months. Then he came back and asked me to sell the house again. And when I went to sell it, I said, okay, it's on the market. I put the lockbox on. The next day, the agent went to get in. He locked the screen door, so they couldn't get in. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You trying to sell this house? Then I come to find out he done filed bankruptcy, so I had to get his bankruptcy papers cleared. That's why he ghosted me for 6 months.
Jeez. Nightmare, man. Nightmare.
It was. He down there tearing up the floor in the basement while people are going through the house.
Jeez. Nothing like family. Let me tell you guys this really quickly, and I have to share this quick story, and we'll get back into objection handling. I like 2 or 3 people to throw in the objection they want covered next in the chat, and we'll get right to it. Some of you guys may have heard the story before. I was using Vulcan 7, and I was calling expireds, and one popped up, and I realized that the listing agent was somebody in my office. So I hung up immediately because I have this rule. I like to treat people the way I want to be treated. If you're in my office, it's an expired, I at least want you to call me first and make sure I'm still not working on relisting that property. So I called the agent and I said, hey, I saw your property came up as an expired. I was going to call them, but I wanted to make sure you weren't still pursuing that as an opportunity. And she was like, David, that's actually my parents' house. And I'm like, oh, okay. So immediately my mind was like, let me just let her go as her parents. Like, there's no opportunity here, right? However, I have to practice what I preach. So I went into question mode and I said, well, I can appreciate they're your parents. The home didn't sell. Why do you think it didn't sell? And we have this whole conversation around pricing. And I said, do you plan on relisting it? And she said, I don't know if they're going to relist it with me. And I don't know if I even want it because they won't listen to me. And I said to her, I said, well, you know, this is what I do. I specialize in selling homes that didn't sell the first time around. If I could talk to your parents and list the property, would you be open to that if I paid you a referral fee, since you don't think they're going to relist with you anyhow? And surprisingly, she said yes. And she set up a listing appointment. So I went to the house to meet her parents. She was actually there. And I ran my comps. It was in my town. It was in Wyckoff. So I knew the comps. I had all the information. I went over the comps. They agreed to list with me at 6%, 1% higher than they were paying their own daughter. We got the house sold in 1 week, right? So I paid the daughter her 25% referral fee. Then she came back to me and she was like, hey, my parents need to buy and they really like how you help them sell their home. I'm super busy. She was a part-time agent. She had another full-time job. She was like, I'm super busy. Can you help them find their next house and just pay me another referral fee? And I was like, absolutely. So I helped them buy a property and I pay her another referral fee, right? And then 6 or 8 months later, she calls me, hey, Dave, I'm looking for my first property in Franklin Lakes. Can you help me? I'm helping a real estate agent buy her own house. I helped her buy her house and then pay her a 25% referral fee just from calling Sarah and having that conversation with her. So the reason why I share this story is because I want you guys to change this narrative you have in your head that if people know someone or they have a relative who's in the business, you don't have an opportunity. You absolutely have an opportunity. You have to learn how to ask the right questions. You have to know how to overcome the objections. You have to have some stories and examples that you can give them on how that went south. And you can create opportunities for yourself. I hope you know that. I got 3 checks from a listing agent and the sellers were her parents. Don't tell me you can't get it. Al, what's up, man? What's up, Alberto?
Yes, I just want to add that I recently got a property for a relative, well, my stepmom, and I thought everything is going to be easy. And I got a property close to the beach, just 2.5 miles away from the beach. It's a nice location, great building, 40-year certification passed, and she didn't like it. She lives out of the country. And my experience is every time you are working with a relative or a close friend, you have to double check everything with them. Where you are doing a buyer consultation or a listing presentation, make sure they understand everything. Otherwise, they are going to be chasing or complaining about you after the class.
I love that. And Alberto, I might be seeing you soon. I talked to Barbie about, working with you guys in Miami again, and Mabel hit me up and said, when you coming back down to Florida? So I may be seeing you. We'll talk soon. I'll let you know.
Definitely. It's always a pleasure to see you, man.
My man, for sure.
I'm going to see you, I'm going to give you your Negra Modelo again.
Oh, we got to have a Modelo for sure.
Yeah.
Nandini, what's up?
Sorry, I got so involved with typing that I didn't unmute. Anyway, yeah, so back to the relatives in the business. I would say, yes, I agree. All of us do know a lot of real estate agents. We know a lot of doctors, consultants, but I guess it's not as much about knowing all these people. It's about you. So maybe it'll be a good idea to just give it a shot to see that what is it that you could get best with what they present, and maybe as an expert, what I can bring to you. So you could just take a look at it and ultimately decide for yourself if this is something for you.
Okay.
Again, I use the word but.
I like
so
that.
I did get one listing like that one time when she had a friend who was in the business. She was actually underpricing her home, and we did manage to price it right and got the deal done. This was a property in Saddle River.
That's
and
awesome.
then I managed to buy a home for her.
Congratulations on that. Nandini, stay unmuted, because what I want you to do is look at all these beautiful people on the call. I want you to choose one person to role play the next objection I'm about to throw out. Don't choose someone you know. Just choose a random person on here and give me a name.
Okay. So Beverly?
Beverly, listen, we're going to wait until the spring to get our property sold. At this point in time, we're going to hold off and wait until late spring. Bueller.
Oh, you caught me off guard. 1 second.
Okay. And listen, just think, here's what I want you to do, Beverly. Don't overthink it. Just think, if you're having a conversation with someone and they're like, hey, we're going to hold off and wait until the spring. What would you say? What are some questions you may ask? How would you overcome that objection? What would you say to someone who's thinking about waiting until the spring? What initially comes up in your head? What's the first response that came up?
What's important to you about waiting for the spring?
See, Beverly, you're overthinking it. You knew what to say. What's important to you about waiting until the spring? That's exactly what I would have said. Okay, so let's role play this out a little bit. We're really busy right now, and we sold homes in the past, and the spring market's always done well for us. So we figured we just hold out until then to get our house on the market.
Yeah, I completely hear what you're saying. I think that sounds great. What I was wondering though is if you are aware about what's happening in the wintertime. You got a lot of people who are looking to try to wait until the spring. And if we try to get you on the, you know what? I don't like the way that I was going. I probably would have ask a little bit more about them going into a little bit more about their motivation and where they were thinking, why they were thinking about where and how soon they wanted to get out. That's what I think I would have done instead.
But keep in mind, you know my motivation. I'm going to Florida. I'm retiring. I want to be close to my grandkids. I want to fish. Like I'm same motivation for every objection we have today. So you guys all know what it is.
Okay, but how soon? How soon did they want to get there? That was a big question. So if it was more like you wanted to get there sooner than later, wouldn't it be better if we tried to get on the market before everybody else rushes on? I would try to get into that.
Okay. So somebody jump in here with Beverly, because I like where she was going. Like, what's important about waiting until the spring? How can we add to that and stay on that same target? I want to go to Gerald and Pete.
Locked, right?
It's somebody on me.
I think what Beverly was trying to say is that waiting until the spring, that's good. That's fine. That's up to you. You know, you're in charge. I work for you. But you got to understand something, David. During this time of the market, the houses, you know, not too many people are selling their homes, but there's not too many people looking for homes. So you don't really have that competition. When the spring comes, that's when everybody wants to sell their homes. So here we go. We're up here selling homes, but we're still down here with people trying to buy homes. So, or you're up there with the competition. So do you want to be competitive, or you want to get in your home so you can get to Florida?
So I like what you said. As you're talking, I'm thinking about you asking questions more than telling.
Okay.
I'm going to let Pete go because he may go where I want to go. If he doesn't, I'm going to tell you what I meant by that. Pete, go ahead.
Hey, David. So what's important about waiting till the spring to sell your home?
I mean, like I said, we sold homes in the spring before and we've always done well. So we figure, you know, we got beautiful garden here. Everything's going to look nice and pretty and bloomed out. So we figure we just kind of hold off and wait until then.
Gotcha. And you feel by having things more in bloom, like what'll that do for you?
I mean, I house shows better. I just feel like more people will want the property when they see how beautiful it is during that time of the year.
Gotcha. So more people, you know, seeing your home beautiful during the right time of year. I mean, ultimately, what does that do for you?
I'm hoping that means we get people maybe paying us top dollar for the house. I'm hoping they'll see it and see how it compares to some of the competition and pay more for our home because it's definitely a better property.
Yeah. And David, I love that you use the word competition there. And, you know, listen, I'm totally fine with you waiting if you feel like that's what is the best thing. But let me just ask you, I mean, if waiting until the spring could actually cost you money instead of put more money in your pocket, is that something you'd be willing to do?
I mean, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you use the word competition, right? So what concerns me about waiting till the spring is you're the fifth person I spoke to this week who said they're going to be waiting until the spring to list their home. And again, David, you used the word competition, and I'm sure I don't have to explain it to you, but do you know what happens when we go on in the spring and there's 5 more homes just like yours that hit the market at the same time yours does?
I mean, now we're competing against each other to get our home sold.
Exactly. So if I could show you how listing your home sooner rather than later could make sense and actually put more money in your pocket, what would stop you from taking 15 to 20 minutes to meet with me today about that?
Good job, Pete. You guys hear what Pete said? I think that's where we need to go with that. And Beverly, that's kind of where I wanted you to go, exactly where Pete went. We were asking the question and he made it like, hey, I talked to 5 other sellers this week who said the exact same thing. And what I want you to think about is just basic supply and demand. When you have more inventory, how does that tend to affect price? Prices go down. Absolutely. And right now you're in the situation where you don't have a lot of competition. So, you know, I'm not here to force you into making a decision. I just want to give you all the information you need to make the best decision for you and your family. So I guess the next question I have is what you sell this house for important to you? It sounds like it is. It is, isn't it? Great. So shouldn't we list it now when there's less competition versus waiting until the spring where you've already said you'll get less money for it? Like those questions are where we should go. Good job, Pete. Tim. What's up, Tim? Give it to me.
Hi, David.
What's up?
Yeah, I thought about asking questions, but I'm going with the story route that I mentioned earlier. Okay. So David, I used to work in the car industry, and there's the difference of customers that comes in during winter time on the snowy day and a very nice, beautiful day. You know what that is?
Yep.
Okay. So on a snowy day,
Yep.
you do get in, but not a lot, right?
Right.
But do you agree that a lot of people looking on a snowy day, they are very serious of buying a car?
I've been there, done that myself. Like, yeah, if I'm going out during that time, I have to buy something. You're right.
Right. This is the same for the housing industry as well. When people come in on a snowy day or the winter, they are serious about buying your house, and the competition is less. So that gives you a chance of getting your house sold faster and stronger, isn't it?
Love that. And I love that you use that story based on your personal experience. You guys heard of Feel, Felt, Found? How would you guys use Feel, Felt, Found when someone says, hey, we're just going to hold off and wait until the spring? Anybody want to go through that with me using Feel, Felt, Found? Who's handling? Matt,
yeah,
go ahead.
I definitely appreciate that. I'll go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, David, I appreciate that. You know, a lot of people feel the same way as you do if they list in the spring that they're going to be able to net the most amount of money, and they felt that that was going to be the outcome for them. But what they ended up finding out was that a lot of other people were also putting their house on the market in the spring, and they ended up competing against each other, and then ultimately getting, a lesser, netting less when they eventually sold the home. So I'm not sure if it's for you and if you're open-minded to it, but if you have 7.5 minutes, I can show you why listing now would be better than doing it in the spring like everybody else.
I like that. Take out but and I like to keep it short too, Matt. I say, like, listen, I understand why you feel that way. I've had other clients that have felt the exact same way. However, what they found out was by waiting until spring, more competition hit the market. And you know how this works. If you have a lot of inventory, what tends to happen to price? It goes down, right? So if you knew there was a way to get it sold now and you can net more money, would you at least be open to me sitting down and going over that with you? Pete?
Believe it or not, David, I think that's one of your harder scripts to follow. I'm trying to practice that one because it's so you can use it in so many different scenarios. So like, you have to put the feel, the felt, and the found, and then you have the little section. And then if you can just get it flowing nicely, then it sounds phenomenal. If you do it like me, you end up talking for 30 minutes. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
And here's the thing. I appreciate you saying that because when it comes to scripting, guys, we don't want to say blah, 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 when we can just say blah. We want to get right to the point. So that's what the practice is for, Matt. That's what it's all about. Pete, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back with Tim. I love that, like painting the picture of like the snow. I would say just if you can try to go even a little bit more detail, like, you know how it is, right? You got to like lace up your boots. You got to get out there. You got to clean the car off, wait for it to warm up. You drive out there, you're taking your boots off to get into the house. Now, somebody who's going through all that when they could just stay warm and cozy in their house and not have to do any of that. Somebody who does that, they're pretty motivated to put a good offer on your house, right? Wouldn't you say? Yeah. And so I think just kind of like hopefully by doing that, you guys could kind of even get a little chill as I'm talking about how cold it is, and then get a little bit warmer as we're sitting by the fire. And I think it really helps, kind of help paint that picture a little bit more.
Love that. And really quickly, before I go to Alberto, here's what I want you guys to do in the chat for me. We need to do more script practice on Friday mornings. And so what I love for you to do, if you're willing to take on a role play partner and practice scripts with a role play partner, I want you to put your name and your phone number and also beginner, intermediate, or pro when it comes to scripts. I want to know what your level is, what you think your level is when it comes to going over scripts. And I'll put up a list and I'll send the list out. And then you'll know people who are on this call that actually want to work with you and practice scripts and role play. So name, phone number, beginner, intermediate, or a pro. All right. Alberto, go ahead.
Yes, David. What I heard that you are missing your grandkids in Florida, correct?
Correct.
So, and you want to go down there because you enjoy fishing, the weather, and the beaches.
Right.
So, it is worth to work until springtime to meet that time with your kids when Florida have a beautiful weather all the time.
I mean, of course, that's what I want. That's why I'm going down there.
So what we do this right now, I can explain to you what is going to be the difference. Is 2 or 3 o'clock work for you today, or Wolf will be better tomorrow?
I like that, Alberto. And I like that you brought up my grandkids. And I would say, one thing, Alberto, is one thing we can't buy is time. And right now, if you could get down there and spend more time with your grandkids and start that process now versus waiting, wouldn't that be great? Like, just that's where I would go. And I would get to the emotional level behind them moving, because logic makes people think and emotion makes people act. Good job there. And Lou, you put intermediate. Come on, Lou. We know you're a pro. Come on, man.
Come on, David. We
Don't
all got
play with
room
us.
we all got room for improvement.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Two quick things. So number one on this, the selling in the spring, one thing you can take someone through is just the evolution of the sale process, right? You could ask them, are you familiar with the sales process? And if you're selling your home today, it doesn't necessarily mean you're closing on your home today. It could be a 60-day process. So selling your home today means that in 60 days from now, you're actually going to be transacting real estate, even though the iteration will take you over the next couple days. So you can go that route. But more importantly, with Beverly, we passed over you. You did a great job, right? You got in your own head because you said I got caught off guard. And the best way to get yourself back into routine is just keep asking open-ended questions. We get into our head so much, more worried about what we want to say as opposed to listening to what the objection is or what the people are saying to us. So keep asking open-ended questions: who, what, where, when, why, right? Solicit a response and you'll get yourself back on track. You panicked, but you caught yourself by asking the right questions, and just keep asking questions until you get back on track and listen to what the response is as opposed to what you want to say next.
Did you guys hear what Lou just said? It's not about what you want to say next. If you know your scripts, you're listening not to respond, you're listening to understand. That's what we need to do a better job at. Lou, thank you for bringing that up. We need to hear that more often. It's a great message, and that's what we need to think about. Mr. Pete, what's up?
What's up, man? Just love all the role play partners putting their stuff down here and getting ready to rock and roll. I just wanted to throw out there, I don't want to derail from your agenda here, but at some point maybe just mention rules of role play and just what makes a good role play partner and a good role play session.
Well, listen, Pete, I would love for you to share that, man. I have my thoughts on it, but I'd love to hear, what do you think makes a good role play session? First of all, it's being real play. Act as if you're talking to a real seller, right? But what are some other rules when it comes to role playing that we should know about?
So you're going to be a better role play partner if you're making the calls. Doesn't, obviously that's the whole point of this, but if you're actually on the phone making calls, you're just going to be a better role play partner just in general.
Right.
But I think it's getting in and out quick, right? Not quick, but like give a couple pushbacks. You're not here to win as the seller. You're here to let them always set the appointment. So always let them set the appointment, and of course, give them some objections, but always let the agent set the appointment. Have your scripts in front of you. Definitely always, as if you're driving all that stuff, try not to be driving if you can, but always have your scripts in front of you. I always like to just get right into it. Just pick up the phone, and whoever calls, like sends the outbound call, should be the agent right away. Hey, this is Pete over at Keller Williams. How's it going? Just wanted to see blah, blah, blah. And show up.
Love that. That's all great. And then also and Raj, I'll let you go next. Also, sometimes you're practicing scripts. Other times you should have, hey, we're having an objection call. They pick up the phone and say, hello. Hey, I'm not going to list at 6. I'll give it to you at 4. And you guys just go through rapid fire objection handling. And then sometimes hang up on your role play partner. No, I'm not interested. Click. See how they handle that. Do they call you back? They should. We should be calling everybody that hangs up on us. So see if they will call you back. Raj, go ahead.
Yeah, me and Jason do it. And we go right into it. It doesn't matter. Maybe he had a crappy transaction or he was on vacation. I don't want to hear about that. I just want to go in and be like, he'll call me at 7:30 and be like, hi, who is this? And he'll go right into it. Like, we don't BS, because I've done that in the past and got me nowhere. And we're off. Maybe if we have a few minutes at the end, but we have a very targeted laser focus for those 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and sometimes he'll call me in the middle of the afternoon. He's like, who is this? I saw your number on my phone. And you may be on the road, but at least you could say, oh yeah, I was calling about your home, and at least have a general idea, a few questions to ask.
I love
But that's
that.
another thing, because that will happen to you with calls. They don't know your number, and
Yep.
if it comes with a common, a familiar area code, they'll call you back.
I like that, Raj. And then also there's a rule. I had a rule, 3 strikes. If I had a role play partner, you got 3 times to show up late, not take it serious, not be prepared, and I'm moving on to the next one. Like, it's hard finding serious role play partners. Don't let people waste your time. Like, if they're not going to respect it, find someone who will. And I'm going to get this list out to you guys so you can find other people. Gerald, what's going on?
Hey, it's funny you said that. You know, me and Brianna do role play sometime. And one time she called me, I hung up on her. She was like, "Oh, I can't believe you." So because it was like, she was like, "Oh, what?" And so she called me right back though.
Good. It helps, man, because that's real play. That's what sellers do. So what kind of role play partner do you have? Are they going to get back on the phone and call you back? So appreciate that.
Yeah.
Gian, what's going on, man? Gian, you can unmute. You're not unmuted.
Sorry, my first time on Zoom.
Hey,
No.
right. Right.
Hey, I was going to say, when you're doing your script and role playing, also switch it up. Don't use the same scenarios. One of the ones we like to use is agent to agent calls, because you have to understand, once you have a client and you guys go into contract, now you have to negotiate with their other agent as far as repairs, appraisal, like all that kind of stuff, right? So polish up your conversation as far as that as well.
I love that. Crystal, I'm coming right to you, but I have to say something really quickly. Everybody who's role playing should also be on the phone making calls. Your database for sell by owners, expireds, you should be on the phone. If you really want to have effective script play, what you do is those tough questions you're getting from sellers, those objections you're getting, and you don't know how to handle those, write them down. And when you role play, give those same questions, those same objections to your role play partner, and learn how they handle those objections and overcome them. You should do that with every role play partner that you have, and you're going to find 2 or 3 different ways to overcome the same objection. Crystal, what's going on?
Yeah, going back to being hung up on, one of the things that I found challenging at first with script practice was that I was like, wow, these are all great, but I don't even get that far. Especially when it's something like I have a friend or a family member who's an agent, and then they start talking really fast and want to get off the phone. And I'm like, I would love to insert some of this, but I didn't get a chance.
Right. And there are going to be times that you don't get an opportunity, Crystal. However, a lot of times it's how you handle that objection. And this is why we have to practice it. If you take a minute and you pause and you take too much time to respond, a lot of times you lose the opportunity. So what I learned to do, somebody says, I have a sister in the business. I'm like, boy, we all have somebody we know who's in real estate, right? When you sell this house, where are you moving to? I'm just brushing that right off and going right into my script. And I'm getting right into the questions before they have an opportunity to even get off the phone or take it down another road. So that's why we practice it, so we know how to quickly respond and then get back into our script. I was wondering if this lady was going to raise her hand to talk today. What's up, Ashley? How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Just because Crystal said something that is very dear and near to my heart, this used to happen to me all the time. And what I did was I started practicing with my role play partner back then and whatever to play the hang up game. And in the beginning, I used to sound so horrible when I would say hello. And then they told me, like, that's the reason why. So I practiced just the beginning, like how to sound not like salesy. You got to think of yourself as like, put your shoes in the seller's shoes. I'm getting all these calls and this person goes, hi, I'm looking for, click. Hi, I'm looking for about your home at 123. Nope. Like, so I had to practice it. So I started it off like, hey, Crystal, this is Ashley. Blah. And then I started watching my inflections and noticed that people would stay on a little longer when I just sound like a human, when I didn't sound like I was forced in the right first 30 seconds. And then I get into it and I keep people on the phone longer.
I love that. Thank you, Ashley. And I'm coming to you, Ashley Davison, in 1 second, but I want to say this. I'm looking for 10 people that are ready to take their business to the next level, that are serious about becoming listing agents. And you understand that mastering the listing presentation and understanding how to prospect and set appointments is what you need training on. If that's you, click the link. I want to talk to you about it. So I'm only looking for 10 people. Ashley, go ahead and go.
To add to Ashley's point with the inflections, I took bold back, when was it, like end of 2022, and I noticed that for me, that was a huge thing for me. Like I would, like with the tonality, like making sure you end like sharp as opposed to like ending sharp. Like I would always have that slight difference, and I feel like that's also been a big thing for me as well. And like the same thing with how to start with a conversation is supposed to be like, hi, it's Ashley Davidson from Keller Williams. I just say, hi, Amanda, like make them think like, am I Amanda? Or like, then say yes. Then I just say like, oh, how are you? And then I just like start a conversation. And then I also add like, really quick, like, so that they know it's not going to be a time waster in that. And I feel like getting hung up on is not as like terrifying anymore. Like I now immediately call back, and if it goes right to voicemail, then I'm like, okay, that was on purpose. I move to text, I'll move to email, see how they respond. If they do pick up again, then I'm like, okay, like, oh, sorry, must have lost you. Like maybe it may have been my service. And if they hang up again, just move to text, move to email, find a way to communicate with them, kind of figure out the best way for certain people.
I like that. And listen, if they hang up on you and you call back, Ashley, what I would say is, hey, it's David, please don't hang up. Right. And that stops them for a second. Then I go right back into my spiel. Like hanging up is them out scripting you. They know that if they hang up on most agents won't call back. Is another way they outscript us. So always call back. I love that, Ashley. Lou, I'll let you get the last word. Then I have a challenge for you guys.
Yeah. So I've been, last week or two, been calling absentee owners. So someone that has a property in my, in my farm and lives somewhere else, or their tax is somewhere else, tax card somewhere else. So I got a woman on the phone, older woman, senior, and she lives in Florida, has a property in Wayne. And I started off try different things, right? Because it's figuring out what works well for you. And I actually started by just saying to her, hi, this is Lou Messer-Cola. This is one of those annoying marketing calls. I am a realtor, right? And she kind of chuckled and goes, oh, I'm not selling. But I kind of disarmed her before she even had a chance to get her guard up, and made her laugh as soon as she picked up the phone, and just told her what to expect. It's a marketing call. It's a cold call. And we had a 2-minute conversation, and it resulted in some pleasantries, but I at least disarmed her from the front. So I'm going to keep trying that to see if it works again more.
Love that, Lou, and thank you so much for sharing that. So listen, we're right at 9:30, and before we get off, let me just say this. Thank you for giving, your Friday morning up to sharpen your saw. I really appreciate you guys being here. There's enough business for all of us. And I love the fact that we can come together and learn from each other, learn different questions, different objection handlers. We need to continue doing this every single week. However, I want you to come in here and learn, and then I want you to get off of this call and go do. So here's my challenge for you guys. Anybody in here need a listing? I should see every freaking hand up. Anybody need a listing? Like, what's up? I challenge you guys. Call for sale, get on Zillow and call for sale by owners until you get one person on the phone, and go through your script with that for sale by owner. Go do a preview. For sale by owners are going to list with you if you call, if you stay in touch, if you continue to follow up and show your value. When they're ready for another option to get their home sold, they're going to list with the agent that shows value, that shows that there's a reason that they should be paying commission. You think everybody else is calling? I'm telling you, a lot of people are not making those calls right now. FSBO stands for fastest source of business opportunity. They already have their hand raised. Call them. Don't be afraid of FSBOs are just like you and me. They need our help. They just don't know it yet. So go call and take your sales hat off. Just call and find out what's important to them about selling, what they're looking to accomplish, understand their motivation, and then continue to follow up with them. There's a lot of opportunities with for sale by owners, and a lot of people aren't calling. So here's the challenge. It's to call FSBOs, but it's not about what I expect. It's about what I inspect. I want to know you actually made the call. So either text me or DM me and show me that you actually made the call, right? I'm not going to give my number out, because if you guys can't find me, shame on you. It's so easy to find me. So If you want it, if you want to show that it's accountability and you're actually doing the work, that's what I want you doing this weekend, calling a for sale by owner and creating an opportunity. All right. Was this a good call? Good enough to get you guys to come back next week?
Yes, it's always a good call.
All right. So here's a commitment I need from everybody. One more. Each one bring one next week. And I got all these lists of different objections you guys want to cover. We'll get into it next week with just a rapid round of objection handlers based on what you guys put in the chat. So I'll write all those down. We'll cover them next week. Each one bring one. Put it in your calendar, take the Zoom link, put that in your calendar. So on Friday mornings, you know where to find us. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for helping me. Like, I'm sharpening my saw too. And it's time for us to go out there and get our unfair share, because the last thing I will say to you right now is half the year is already over. Let that hit you. In real estate world, we're already in June already, because the work we do today is going to be a paycheck in June. So where's your business going to be? If you're sick and tired of just not having the results, you got to do something different. Being here is something different. Learning what to say is something different. Taking action is something different. Making more calls. You got to do more. More calls, more contacts, more appointments, asking for the close more role play, more practice, more. I hope you guys understand that. So I'm going to let you go so you guys can get after it. I'm going to my favorite second office so I can do some work and smoke a stick, and I will see you guys next week. Y'all be good. See you. Bye. Bye, Ashley. See you, Carlton.
That's how I sound.
A little bit. He was like, all right.